Yo, welcome back to the channel. We're in for another update here. Ever since the holidays came and went, I got sick. We all got the flu. I'm still having, as you saw, we did get out 2JZ solo swap content. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I thought that was a pretty neat product that Speedway offers. And I am actually using the solo swap, it's just sitting there, but will be using because one of the big parts of this next update will involve getting the engine off to the machine shop. We have the 2J here sitting on the ground. I pulled it out when we did the solo swap. One of the biggest perks of that solo swap is exactly that, taking the engine off to the machine shop, but still being able to maintain, a mocked up infrastructure in your engine bay. So what I'm gonna do now is going on a bit of a scavenger hunt. I've had parts in bins for years, parts being like the stock 2J accessories, the stock 2J, anything that bolted to the block. They're kind of scattered in a couple different tubs. I know I have everything pretty decently labeled, hardware and whatnot. Yeah, I gotta get up in the overhead storage here in my garage, pull down these heavy ass bins. I know where the crank is, it's over here in the corner. Hopefully it's all okay, but hey, worst case, we gotta go and source another 2J from the junkyard for a couple $100. So yeah, let's go ahead and start getting together those parts and pieces, get the tote. I know I have an empty tote up there that's just ready, for getting a block thrown in there and getting that stuff off to John. So yeah, let's do it. All right, so went ahead, pulled the head off the block. That was like 2 seconds. Brought the block over, got everything kind of staged to go in this box. Usually don't put it cranked down horizontally, but it's lived its life vertically in the corner. So really, for machine shop purposes, block, main caps, head. I have the rods and pistons. We are not using those, of course. Those are the GE VVTi stuff is junk. The rest of the parts and pieces we will be buying. All right, folks, there you have it. Engine's ready to go. Let's take this thing over to Wishman Performance and get our engine adventure underway. We're back in the garage. Finally got the engine off, as you saw. Packaged that thing up in its own little totes. Got that off to John over at Wishman Performance and kind of had a little chat. Planning to do pretty much exactly what we had talked about. Billet main caps, clean up the head and block and get it all checked and put cracks, and we're gonna start laying into it. Once he's ready, we'll order some parts, start getting that thing put together, and yeah, engine's on its way. So that definitely gave me a little bit of a boost, a little bit of kick in the ass to get my motivation, get my ass in gear. And I decided now, since we're kind of switching gears a bit, I went in and I grabbed my Sparco seat that I bought. Now, if you've been watching my channel, you will know that I did buy a Sparco seat at one time. I made a video on it, but believe it or not, that seat kind of ended up getting robbed from the car and put on my sim rig. So great seat for the sim rig, but was originally meant for the car, obviously. But what I did end up getting are the Sparco R100s. Now, these have been out for years, and actually, if you've watched any of my 510 content, you know that I put those in the 510 which is partially why I decided to pick these up. Now, disclaimer, these might not be permanent. I was looking so hard at some bridge seats, way out of my price range, to be honest. It was more of, I also know Sparcos are great seats as well. I kind of needed something that, yeah, was affordable right now. We could get in the car to start mocking up, you know, steering wheel position, shifter position. We're gonna be doing a custom dash, like a gauge setup situation type deal, and having a seat is really going to help, you know, paint the full picture, if you will. So I went and got the seat, obviously, and put it in the car, and it looks like this one kind of follows the same dimensions, if you will. Like, this seat is, you know, pushed. This is theoretically going to be the furthest back position possible here. Let's go ahead and start getting these seat sliders installed on the seat rails. Put the seat in the car, bolted up. So let's do it. Here's the thing. Look how close my head is. I mean, I'm like 2 fingers, let alone have a helmet on. I'm a little taller than I expected to be. I mean, granted, there's not like a ton of room, but let me flip around and show you my feet. I mean, if I scoot up anymore, I'm really into the pedals. So I was gonna say, if I could scoot up and lean the seat back. Hey. Scoot up. So now if I lean the seat back, you know, I get 3 fingers. Not sure what to do. One of those moments where you just gotta think. If I'm being honest, this is just a little too, what's the word? I don't have enough headroom. That's the short of it. I feel tall in this cabin. I feel like it should be lower. All right, folks. It's a day later. I gave the seat thing some thought. And I did a little research. And luckily, you know, we have Hybrid Z, which is a pretty thorough, informative, I think it started back in early 2000s. There's tons of knowledge and information sharing on there about these S30 chassis. One thread I found was someone actually having a very similar problem as me. 6'2". I'm 230 pounds last I checked, but you can make yourself fit if you get your seat down low and back. Long story short, I found this thread where the guy basically is setting the seat nearly on the ground, and it's mounted in a very similar way to mine. However, his rails are much shorter, the cross rails that are welded to the floor. Not only that, I found another piece of content on YouTube from the channel called Boost. He also has I think it's a 280. Very similar situation where, again, he needed the seats lower. The unique thing about that, too, is that he's running the same seats as me. In terms of kind of like a point of reference, it's perfect, right? Watch this video, and kind of the same thing. He made his own seat rails, and they're like extremely short vertically. He takes a side profile shot of the bolster on kind of where your thighs are. I mean, it's amazing how much room it looks like he nets, like, maybe I'm exaggerating or looking at it in a very optimistic way, but it looks like he gains about 3 inches. Let me show you what I mean. So there's a shot like this, and I'll put it up on the screen right now, his car, and you can see how low his is. And then if you look at mine, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity here to go lower. I'm just sitting way too upright because I'm trying to gain leg room, which still curious if this is going to solve the leg room issue, because One of the other issues is that the shoulder of the seat is making contact with the roll bar I had built. All we can do right now to improve the situation is to lower those seat rails. So that's what I'm going to do. So the game plan tonight is to pull the seat out, cut those tack welds, and again, thank God those aren't welded in there permanently, and that was a really wise decision by my fabricator at the time. So without further ado, let's get to cracking. I mean, it's close, but I think it works, you know? So with all that being said, you know, with the helmet fitment, with the steering wheel, the answer is to mount the seat basically on the floor. So yeah, I might do a little research and look into how others have mounted seats to the floor, but I think that's the path forward. All right, folks, we're on day 2 of thought. Kind of reading up. The 240Z had like a natural incline at the front of the seat. So the front of the seat kind of tipped you back into the chair. What I'm thinking is that we can retain that front mount, you know, even though it is raising that front end. That shouldn't, you know, theoretically affect the position of the back if I chop the back one down to like basically nothing. Okay, so I've modified this quite a bit. I mean, there's not much to it, just enough for that welded nut to have clearance, but we got to go more. Like, I don't know if we can. I don't know, I say that, but what we do need to do is possibly segment this into 2 pieces. So these floors have like a hump in them. I think that's for structural support, and that hump doesn't allow this. You can see there's a bunch of space between the floor and the bottom of this piece. What we have to do potentially is cut this in half. Because it's so low, cut it in half and take a chunk out of this and basically weld these independently, so 1 and 2, due to this hump. Yeah, I don't necessarily want to do that, but again, due to just the fact that we need this as low as humanly possible, that's what I'm thinking we got to do. So okay, here we are a little closer. It's kind of painstakingly fine-tuned. These still aren't perfect, but they're relatively what I wanted. And so you can see, like, these are like probably 1/10 the height of this guy. All right, I am rethinking what I want to do. So as you know, we cut these guys down to like nothing, and I don't know, I'm just like, you know, after having done it and knowing like there's going to be like almost no threads. I mean, there will be thread engagement on, you know, the nut. I don't know, it just seems a little hokey. The head clearance, it just isn't working in my favor to do it that way. And again, I need as much vertical head clearance as possible. I'm going back to the bolted directly to the floor concept. Again, reason being, need as much vertical clearance as possible. I want to sit as low in the car as possible. and you know, I want the sliders, and this is gonna get me there. So what I currently don't like about that is that there's no structural support for the seat bolting location. So like bolting it straight to the floor pan, you know, you're not, I mean, you're just bolt a piece of sheet metal. Whereas with a seat bracket, proper seat bracket, you have some structural support there. I found some nice examples of what some other fabricator guys have done for this type of situation, where they've welded on plate steel under the car horizontally, and I think that's what I will do for now. I'm just gonna drill it straight through the floor pan, and then, you know, put a nut on the other side until I go get some steel stock. I just think, given the size of me and the you know, dimensionally where everything sits, I think that's the right decision, to be honest. I'm gonna put the seat back in the car, kind of recheck, make sure what I observed last time we had the seat in the car still holds true. You know, we have the kind of a 4-finger measurement above the head for helmet and whatnot, but I guess I did a bunch of cutting and grinding for nothing. Just how it goes sometimes. So let's do it. Back. All right, well, we got the car up on the lift. I had a little issue with one of my cylinders. I think there's some bleeding I need to do, but one of the cylinders had dropped. I had to deal with that. Anyway, got that figured out, and the car up kind of to the highest point that this Max Jacks gets it to. So this gives us access and better visibility to these mounting points for the seats. And like I had mentioned, I want to do a piece of just kind of a reinforcement piece here. The bolting location just kind of floating around in space on the floor pan. And what I plan to do is weld up a piece of, I think it's 3/16 by 2 inch wide piece of metal, and connect that from the subframe connector to the edge of the floor pan here, where it starts to curve up. And that's going to just, again, give us that extra rigidity with the seat mount and a little bit of structural support. So without further ado, what I'm going to do first is get the passenger seat mounted up similar to the driver's seat, get those bolt holes drilled, yada yada. We'll get these pieces welded up, and the mount, you know, the seat mount project will finally be done, and hopefully it all works out in the end. So all right, after doing some wrestling with the seat rails, and for some reason the passenger seat rails are a little pissed off. I don't know. They're probably, bolt holes probably aren't lined up perfectly, and it's letting me know. So I don't know. I'm going to mess with that later. I don't care too much about sliders on the passenger side, even though I want them to work properly. The seats are in, and the bolt holes are located. So now we get to pull out the seats and start fabbing up the support pieces from underneath the car. So now I get the joyous pleasure of removing the seats again and getting that done. So here we go. All right, we are back. I feel like this is like day 4 of this damn seat project, but just kind of working on it incrementally as we have time. Last night we got that first plate welded on the bottom of the floor pan for that driver's side left, forward left. Anyway, there's going to be like 8 of those little segments that we have to weld up. So anyway, let's just keep on welding here. Okay, holy crap, that's a lot of welding. Probably more than I needed to do. Just seam welded, I think seam welded those plates to the bottom of the car. And we should definitely have some pretty sturdy seat mounting solutions now. And next step and final step for this project will be just drill those holes out through those plates, just like we did through the floorboards. Pretty much it. Bolt the seats in and we're done with seat mounting. I did make a short list of just things that are kind of interior oriented, but yeah, seat mount plates are done. Pedal box mount, that is something that's semi done, but still needs final adjustment. Throttle pedal, need to figure that out. Not sure what I want to do with that yet. And then yeah, steering column. So those are all kind of things in the interior that are relevant to positioning the person, I guess, or me, the driver, in the car. Anyway, that's my long-winded explanation of what's next. So for now, I'm gonna take a short break before I drill these holes and call it done. But yeah, what a load of work. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. -6 feels like -21. I got the old green tea brewing on this little heater I got for Christmas. All right, what's up guys? So as you saw, I mean, it is freaking cold out here. We are in eastern Nebraska and it's known to be colder than like Antarctica at some points during these extreme temperature dips. Yeah, we're back out here in the garage. It's a new day, or new evening I should say. Just got back from the old Lowe's and got me some DeWalt high-speed steel bits. Anyway, let's get to it. Since I was talking about it, here are those broken drill bits. I guess it's 3 in total. I don't know where the other half of this one is. Should probably be defined, but all right, yeah, I got those seats in. The driver's side definitely needs some adjustment. You can tell that the rails are bound up because the holes aren't, you know, exactly how they want them. And on the passenger side, I gave a little more clearance to the hole diameter so that you know, it doesn't bind up like that. So, and that one rides real smooth and good and all that. So I'm gonna put the car up. I'm going to grind my welds. Hear me now. I am not a professional welder. One day maybe, but I do know I am confident in my welds. However, a couple of them look a little sketch, a little ugly, and I don't want them looking too nasty. So I'm just gonna clean that up.